Hi, I'm Justenia, the New England Psychic Medium. I wanted to create a video, and it's been a topic that's been kind of coming around a lot lately. So I'm going to do my best to channel this, and it's really a message from my own spirit team, my guides, and my own thoughts that have kind of been rerunning through my mind. So I see everything as energy exchange. So I don't really see things the way that people do. For example, people can get very defensive, very reflective, very critical, egotistical, and judgmental sometimes when we are faced with certain things that trigger certain traumas within us. And I used to feel this way all the time, as we all do. We are all human, therefore, we all respond to our traumas the same way in self-defense. And it's really interesting because I've been listening to this song a lot lately, and it's not an amazing song, it's not top of the charts, but it's been running in my mind all the time. And every time I hear this song, I think of myself, and I think about how, what I've gone through and the lessons that I've learned. I've thought about how I allowed myself to continue abusive patterns, how I took my childhood and made it my adulthood by accepting certain things from my environment, by being trained to accept certain things from my environment. I think about how my self-limiting beliefs were really self-abusive and self-destructive, how I chose certain situations because I truly didn't believe in my own worth, self-love, or self-care. And I think about all the times I put myself in danger when I was just looking for healing and lacking self-love. And in a way, I have always been my most toxic relationship. Me, myself, my internal life versus my external life, my internal reality creating my external reality. I was the most toxic thing to my own environment, and it was because that is the pattern I was raised in, and that is the pattern I accepted. And it didn't stop until I released that pattern. But the interesting thing about this is it's really made me contemplate relationships and relationship structures. Now, I feel like we see relationships in this world as one of two ways. We see people we either feel an obligation to deal with, or we see people that we emotionally feel an obligation to deal with. But we don't really see people as a reflection of our own behavior. And it's interesting because everything in this world is a reflection of our behavior. And it seems silly, but it is absolutely true. The way we see beauty is a reflection of our programmed definition of beauty, how we were raised, what culture we were raised in, what we were taught to see as beautiful. There are cultures who believe big women are goddesses, and there are cultures who believe the thin women are goddesses. That is how they were raised. Their perception, their reality becomes their environment. And it does direct our own vision and the way that we choose things. I always say to somebody, an ant can be a beautiful thing, and to somebody it could be the most horrific thing they've ever seen. In a way that is the same kind of mentality here. Our own belief system is created by our experiences, and our experiences create our environment. Now, I bring this up because when we look at a relationship as a reflection of ourselves, we no longer look at someone else who needs healing. We look at ourselves as allowing or calling in specific behavior. When we look at ourselves as calling in specific behavior, we are now officially not responding in ego. That means that you understand your environment is a reflection of you and your behavior, and you are not using that to manipulate others. You are using that to heal those aspects of self, to change your outward environment and your outward experience. So when I do relationship coaching for people, I do the same thing. I look at how one person views the other person. And then I look at how those comments, those words, those reflective behaviors are actually internal, coming from inner traumas, behavioral patterns, self-limiting beliefs, self-destructive behavior, past life traumas. And in that way, we release those thoughts, those outward expressions of control or ego, so that we can be healthy partners, so that we could create a healthy inner reality and therefore create a healthy external reality. And it's fascinating to me because the more I do this work, the more I realize that, we are an accumulative body of energy. Energy is everything. So even a human is made of trillions of cells that speak together in the same energy, vibration, and language to create a human structure. We know that scientifically. But when we look at humanity, we don't think the same way. We think, humans must be different. But the truth is, humans are trillions of little beings that all function in the same energetic wave. And when we can start to think differently, we respond differently. If we, as a country or people or humanity, are ever questioning someone else's reality, someone else's behavior, someone else's structure or system or way of life, we are working in ego. We are working in self-defense to hide the aspects of ourselves that we are not ready to address as a country. And I think this is shocking, but so obvious to someone like me who can see energy. No country is perfect. And it's not that I don't love my country. It's that I understand we have a very difficult history. I understand the reality of it. I understand that no individual is perfect. Therefore, no collection of individuals can be perfect. I understand that we will never be perfect as a country. Therefore, we should be focused on our own inner growth, our own construction, our own schools, our own development, our own psychological health, mental health, the health of our people. And when we do that, when we focus on our own growth, there's never space for external control of other countries or places. That would be a place of ego. So if we are looking at our country as a body and as the millions people who embody that as energetic codes or beings, then we have to understand that the more we work internally, the more we address this expression of ego and deconstruct this thought process that we must be constantly projecting our fears and traumas instead of internally healing them and reworking them and rewiring them, then we will continue to fight wars. And it is wars within ourselves, wars within our families, wars within the world. It is reflective of our behavior. And it's interesting to me because so many people will come to me and say, well, if you speak to gods, then why do gods allow war? And the truth is, gods don't fund wars, humans do. Our traumas, our ego, our self-limiting beliefs, our inability to heal is constantly funding wars, internal and external. And it's heartbreaking to see, because if war has taught us anything, it's simply that we say goodbye to people way before it's their time. War has taught us nothing but how to destroy one another and ourselves. And it solves nothing. In fact, the best part of a war is the peace. People celebrate the end of war. People celebrate the end of destruction and they celebrate in peace. So it's important to understand that we as a country can individually make a change by understanding all that needs to be done is our self-reflective work. We need to work on internalizing and turning, it's about turning inward and seeing where we are reflecting to others, how we are behaving, how we are responding to our environment, how we are responding to our relationships. and to the people around us. And when we do that, we can escape this idea of ego, this idea that says, I am so healed that I have enough time to tell other people how to heal. I'm so healed that I have enough time to judge others, to project my belief system on others, to tell others how they should be doing things, because nobody in this world is that healed. Nobody in this world is at that point, and if we were, we would not be here. We would not be on this plane. We would not be in this environment, because we would simply not need the lesson. So it's something that I wish everybody would kind of look into and reflect and understand that our internal relationship becomes our external relationship. And if war is something you don't want, then we have to work on our own mentality. We have to work on observing and responding appropriately to our own bouts of ego. Thank you for listening. I try not to be political or get into these things, but again, a war is something that affects us all spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically. And it is something that I never support in any form, under any president, in any color, red or blue, is simply something I don't agree with.